up, YouTube? My name is Joe Graham with Crown Alliance, and today we're going to go over some rails that you see in front of me. I get this question a lot. Folks will ask me, "Hey Joe, what type of rail should I get for my gun, for my first build or whatever?" And I pretty much tell them it's really up to you. You know, what are you going to be using the rifle for? There's various rails out there, and I'm just going to go over a few that I have in my stash. One of the most popular rails now is your Mlok type rail system. This one is a BCM MCMR rail, I believe. I'll list in the comments below the correct name for it. But this is their rail system that I enjoy. One, because it's very slim. It has a real slim profile. It has Mlok, not just in the 369 positions, but it actually goes all around the rail. So you could put your QD attachments, your lights, your lasers, or whatever. This will definitely fit that space for it. But the downside to this one, if you're shooting a high volume round count, being that it is a little slimmer, it gets hot. So I recommend, if you're going to be burning this one down, wear some gloves, or you could put depending on the length of it, or if you're running an SBR, you could definitely put some type of hand stop or forward grip right here down at the bottom to kind of limit the contact with the rail. But it's definitely a good rail. I believe this one is made out of 6000 series aluminum, 6061 or something like that. But like I said, I'll leave that in the comments. But definitely a very nice rail to go with. It's light. You can maneuver it. This one is a 13-inch on a 14.5 barrel. And as you can see, I got thread protector up there. There's a project that I'm working on, so it's not complete. A lot of them are little projects that I just haven't completed yet. So those will be up for reviews too. We'll take it old school. So 1913 pick rail. This one is by Forward Controls. I saw it a couple of months back. Wanted to give the company a try. I have this paired up with my 12.5-inch mid-length barrel. I forgot the actual company that makes this particular barrel. Haven't been out and shot it yet. Like I said, it's a project that's still in progress. But your pick rails, this was one of the most common rails out there in the wild. Daniel Defense with their which one is it? Mk18s. So there's a lot of these out here in the wild. This particular one, like I said, is Forward Controls, but by far Daniel Defense, that Riz 2 rail is definitely solid, and the lockup from the upper receiver to the actual rail itself is very solid. But the downside to your pick rail is heavier. I built this one specifically for that. I want it to be real nice and sturdy. I got a billet upper with it and billet lower receiver that I have with it as well. But this is definitely a hefty gun. Well, rifle upper. And we'll get into what I call a hybrid rail. So I did a review on this one. This is my Knight's Armament URX 3.1 build. This one is not as heavy as a full pick. And just like I said, I call it a hybrid because what they went and did, they actually put these little rail panels into where you can actually bolt them straight into the rail itself. and shaved off a lot of that pick rail, 1913 rail. They shaved that off, reducing some of the weight, but they actually kept pick rail where you would put your accessories. Of course on the top, and then right here at the 3, 6, and 9 positions, you have pick rail. So this is by far one of my favorite rail designs. Just like I said, I call it a hybrid because they're kind of giving you the best of both worlds. I definitely like this one. This rail, there's some out there, but they're pretty hard to find. So this is definitely one of my favorites and a keeper. This side is my Geissele side. So this first one is, again, falls in that hybrid category. This one, the black one, was made by Knight's Armament, and the rest of these 3 are made by Geissele. By far one of my most favorite companies to use, especially when it comes to rails. They build their rails out using 7000 series aluminum, and it's sturdy, it's very strong, and it's light. So the good thing about Geissele is their locking mechanism for the barrel nut. I mean, this thing is solid, it's bomb-proof. This rail right here is this is the Federal rail, and it has your 1913 pick rail on the top, and it also has it on the bottom. But for the exception, it only runs a certain length down here at the bottom, and I believe they did that to save weight. And you still have an Mlok attachment here, along with Mlok attachments on this upper corner side right here, and as well as right here where my rail scales panels are. So this is definitely one of my favorite rails that I have in my stash. And this one is identical to the Federal rail. This is the little brother. The Federal rail's 10-inch, and I believe this is like 9.3. And this one has a 10.3 barrel on it. And it's identical to the 10-inch for the exception of the size. And if you look at the bottom, the pick rail stops short. All right. So the Federal rail was actually designed and created for the HRT team, the FBI HRT team, and for a long time they were hard to get your hands on them. Geissele since released it, opened the floodgates, and everybody purchased one. The one that the HRT team is using is OD Green. It looks good. I wanted to get that one, but I kind of wanted to be different and get something that sticks out a little bit more. So I went with, their FDE. I'm a big fan of FDE. I love the color and the contrast. So I went with the FDE on that one. But this one, I had this one painted. Originally it was black. This was my first SBR build. So I got it painted sniper gray. And this was a couple of years ago, and it still is holding up. It looks good. Got thousands of rounds on it, so it's definitely holding up. But just like I said before, this is identical to that Federal rail, just for the exception of the length and the pick rail. I think with the Federal rail, you'll get about up here with pick rail. All right. Last but not least is another Geissele. This is my URGI build. So this one also has a 10.3 barrel. A lot of your special operations are going to this rail right here. It is the Mk16 rail. I definitely like the look of this rail. Geissele gave you everything you needed and nothing you don't with this particular rail right here. It's identical to the BCM, but it's thicker. Like the material on it, on the rail, is definitely thicker than your BCM rail. And of course, just like I said before, the aluminum that they used for the BCM was 6000 series, and then the Geissele, they use 7000 series aluminum. So I definitely like how this feels a little bit more robust. Shooting this one, it doesn't heat up as fast as my BCM rail, but I love both of them. But this one is definitely my favorite. If I had to choose between the Geissele rail or the BCM, I would go with the Geissele. Not taken away from BCM, but just like I said, you know, high volume shooting, this BCM rail, it will get hot. And talking about, you know, that bomb-proof lockup system, like this thing is not moving at all. So this is definitely one of my favorites, URGI rail. I will be building out another one. It'll probably be all black, and it's the 13.5 length rail system, the Mk16, and I'm gonna build that one out shortly, probably within the next couple of weeks. I'll get that one going. But pretty much when it comes to picking out a rail, one, get a rail that fits you, something that you like. Don't go out and buy a rail just because your buddy has it or you see somebody on YouTube with it. You know, get a rail that fits your hands. Do your research on it. You know, just like I said, I have some experience shooting, you know, thinner material rails. There are some cheaper rails out there, but I'll stay away from them, depending on what type of aluminum they actually are using to construct these rails. 6000 series is good, but it is also a little thinner at times. So the cheaper the rail, typically the thinner the rail is gonna be. Or it could be vice versa too. You could get these $90 rails, you know, like this one didn't cost $90, but you get a $90 pick rail, and due to the fact that they use the cheapest aluminum, and it's 1913, you know, pick rail style, you know, it'll weigh a ton. So this already weighs a lot, and it was an expensive rail too. You know, it was pretty up there. Nice rail. But you guys heard it before. You get what you pay for. All right. So build the gun out to your specifications. What are you going to be using it for? In my old line of work, you know, I ran a lot of shorties on the SWAT teams. So that's what I was accustomed to, and that's what I typically lean towards anytime that I do a build. We were issued 14.5s also. For certain occasions, we would grab those. But, you know, just build that gun out to what you're going to be using it for. You know, so get a good light source and make sure that it fits the rails. And I know when you pay a little bit more money for your stuff, the QC is up to par. You know, I've purchased a couple of rails, a couple other accessories, and I'm trying to be cheap about it, you know, and I end up having to trash that one and buy a new one, you know. So get good equipment, you know, if you can, and save up. If you don't have the money for it right now, you know, put 50 bucks in the bank or in your cookie jar or whatever until you get the money up to do it. Then you go out and you buy it. It'll save you a ton of heartache and pain, I promise you. I've been on firing lines plenty of times. Guys are shooting their rifles and stuff is just falling off the rifle because it was cheap. Or they go to shoot with, you know, their weapon light and it blows the lens out the light lo and behold, it was a knockoff that they bought. You know, so stay away from those too. Don't put airsoft parts on your gun. They're meant for airsoft, not the real deal. All right. So that's it. That's my little rant. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Me and Mike will be putting up more videos as we record them. But until then, be safe and train hard. All right. Catch you on the next one.